Over the course of several years, country artist Bryan has been a part of the American Idol competition, where he has sat with other judges as contestants battle to make their dreams come true. In May, the show's 23rd season came to a close, and viewers are already curious about what the upcoming season will be like. Not so long ago, Bryan himself provided his opinion on the question of whether or not he will be returning for the concert. In addition, he disclosed whether or not he believed that one of his other judges would also be returning to the tournament. American Idol has included Bryan as a contestant. Beginning in the early 2000s, Bryan began his career as a country singer. He has been performing since 2018. Since that time, he has established himself as one of the most successful musicians in the world. Bryan is also well known for his role as a judge on American Idol, which he has held for many years. Since the year 2018, he has been a participant in the competition series. Fans have also witnessed him serving as a judge on the show with Katy Perry, Lionel Richie, and Carrie Underwood, along with other notable individuals. In May of this past year, the series successfully concluded its 23rd season. Since that time, viewers have been curious about the potential alterations that the show would go through before it moves on to the next season. A communication that took place between Bryan and Taste of Country revealed that he was uncertain about whether or not he would return for the competition series. Additionally, this comes out at a time when the return date for season 24 has not yet been settled upon. The vocalist made the observation that Idol is kind of a year-by-year, do we do it or not question. See what transpires, we'll see. Although this being the case, Bryan did have a number of great things to say about the show anyhow. Additionally, Bryan talked about his thoughts on whether or not one of the other judges will be coming back. In addition, Bryan admitted that he had the impression that Carrie Underwood would most likely be back for the show. In response to a question about it, he stated, "My prediction would be among the most favorable." He further mentioned, "I am aware that she had a wonderful time playing the role." Due to the fact that Underwood had previously served as the winner of the 4th season, this was a significant event because it was her first time serving as a judge on the show. Furthermore, Bryan affirmed that he had a positive experience the entire time he was working on the show. According to what he stated, the previous year was absolutely incredible with Carrie, Lionel, and Ryan. The most important thing is to simply enjoy yourself while watching American Idol and while interacting with the contestants. A launch date has not been disclosed for the 24th season of the show. For the current being, it is quite probable that an announcement will be made once the judges for the season have been selected. Amidst the 23rd season of American Idol, have you been following Bryan's progress? Have you been looking forward to the next season? Does it seem likely that Bryan will continue to make appearances on the show? Make it a habit to return to TV Show's Ace for the most recent information regarding reality television and celebrity news. Somewhere between a backstage quick change and a county fair encore, Bryan was asked the question every American Idol fan has been refreshing for. Are you back next season? His answer wasn't a yes or a no. It was the kind of country casual hedging that makes headlines out of ellipses. Idol is kind of a year-by-year. We'll see what happens, he hinted, adding that he genuinely hasn't decided yet. That gentle, non-answer, equal parts coy and candid, was enough to send the fandom into DEFCON speculate. If you've been following the show's recent pivots, you know why the question feels bigger than a contract update. ABC renewed Idol for a 24th season, with the series expected to return in 2026 after a spring 2025 run that swapped Katy Perry for alumna-turned-superstar Carrie Underwood alongside mainstays Lionel Richie and Luke. Now, with season 23 in the rearview and the next cycle gearing up, Bryan's "not sure yet" lands like a plot twist. Is Bryan out or just not locked in? The honest state of play right now, officially undecided. When Bryan says Idol is negotiated year by year, he isn't being slippery. He's describing a reality of modern unscripted franchises. Multi-year deals are rarer than they used to be, especially on shows that recalibrate personality and pacing each season. It also fits the way Luke talks about the gig. He loves it, he's proud of what it does for young artists, and that he treats each return like an active choice rather than an assumption. That's why you've seen a string of stories lately that all boil down to the same headline: Luke hasn't decided. That uncertainty is not a secret. In interviews tied to his summer tour, he volunteered that Carrie really enjoyed her first season on the panel, and he's optimistic she'll be back, while keeping his own status labeled TBD. The subtext reads like a friend waving you into the party while he lingers at the door checking his calendar. What changed since last season? Season 23 was already a big swing. Perry exited, Carrie Underwood slid into the high-pressure seat 20 years after winning the show, and the chemistry recalibrated without breaking. Ratings held, the finale crowned a new champion, and the panel felt both legacy-rooted and newly curious. Lionel's mentorship warmth, Carrie's alumnus eye, Luke's it factor barometer, and Nashville bona fides. If Idol wanted status quo stability, it earned it. Which is precisely why Luke's pause is intriguing. Fans, for their part, have been noisy, but not about Bryan. Much of the chatter since spring is centered on Carrie's debut, and whether she'd return. The consensus from execs and the panel has leaned, we'd love her back. Luke, meanwhile, became the question mark by choice. He set the expectation that he'll decide after tour and family logistics settle. That keeps doors open for both sides, and keeps the rumor mill humming. What out would actually mean? Let's game it out. If Bryan sits season 24, he'd be stepping away after 7 straight seasons in the ABC era. The panel would suddenly be 50% alum/50% legend if Carrie and Lionel return. Great TV on paper, but you'd probably want a third judge who adds either genre breadth, R&B, rock, or Latin pop, or industry infrastructure. Songwriter/producer with A&R chops, to match Luke's radio-ready instincts. That's been his secret sauce. Beyond charisma, he hears what mainstream country and pop programmers will eat for breakfast next spring. Losing that ear changes the panel's center of gravity. It would also crack open a casting moment that TV loves. You can already see the think pieces. Bring in a woman to balance the table, make room for a producer judge. Go younger to meet TikTok. Some outlets have floated the freshen up the panel argument in recent days, less as a knock on Luke than as a reminder that reality franchises reinvent or rust. None of that is confirmation. It's the ecosystem workshopping possibilities, while the principal figure says he's still making up his mind. The case for staying? Here's the counter-narrative. Bryan stays because the season 23 mix worked, because he enjoys the job, and because the audience trusts him. He and Lionel have become the show's emotional perimeter, keeping auditions safe for sincerity and shepherding finalists through the weirder pressures of live TV. Add Carrie's I've actually stood here perspective, and you have a panel that can nurture without neutering the stakes. If ABC's North Star is consistency after a high-profile swap, Luke is the consistency. And yes, he's good TV. There's also the brand math. Idol has found a healthy spring groove in the ABC ecosystem. Luke's presence cross-pollinates with his touring and radio footprints. He brings Nashville's core while remaining at ease across pop and singer-songwriter lanes. If your mission is minting mainstream artists, the guy who can tell a contestant that melody is a summer truck radio chorus in waiting is useful. That's a hard archetype to replace, even harder to upgrade. The case for sitting one out. The case for out is simpler, life and timing. Year by year means exactly that: music cycles, family schedules, residency ideas, production calendars, and ABC's own tweaks. Taking a season off doesn't read like disloyalty, it reads like self-management. In 2025 you framed it plainly: he loves Idol, but he won't commit until he's sure he can give it the time and focus it requires. That's not playing hardball, it's protecting the thing by not phoning it in. There's also a creative cycle argument. Stepping away can refresh a persona. If Bryan chooses to pass on season 24 and circle back later, absence could add a little shine. TV loves a welcome back arc almost as much as it loves a new energy arc. So, is he out? Here's the most honest answer based on everything said publicly. No one has announced that Luke Bryan is out. No one has announced that he's in. He has, on the record, thrown the decision into the not yet column while expressing affection for the show and optimistic signals about Carrie's return. Media outlets from entertainment trades to lifestyle sites have accurately framed his status as uncertain, not severed. Until ABC says, "Here's your panel," or Luke posts a cowboy boot emoji over a contract selfie, the story is Schrodinger's judge. What to watch while you wait? If you're the kind who reads tea leaves in Instagram captions, some markers actually matter. Scheduling breadcrumbs. Watch for audition tour dates and judge call announcements. When ABC reveals in-person audition windows and who's attending, that's often the first practical tell. Season 24 is pegged to 2026. Late summer and fall 2025 is when that machinery typically spins up. Panel chemistry posts. If Carrie and Lionel start sharing "see you soon" content with a third judge in frame, you'll know. Last year's panel confirmation leaked via mainstream coverage within days of exec quotes soft confirming it. Luke's touring grid. If tour extensions overlap deeply with Idol's winter/spring production, that tips one way. If there's a carve-out, that tips another. This is the non-glam, very real part of year by year. The story beneath the rumor. One reason this speculation grabbed oxygen. It's not really about gossip. It's about how Idol defines itself in its third decade. The Katy to Carrie handoff proved the format still has room to surprise without breaking its promise. The panel now has a living legend, Lionel, the show's most successful alum Carrie, and, if he returns, a crossover country star with a finely tuned radio ear, Luke. Change any one of those, and you're not just swapping a face. You're tweaking the show's musical politics. And maybe that's fine. Idol has always shape-shifted with the industry. But part of the comfort of the ABC era has been this. Whatever else changes, Bryan and Richie are the room's constant. Two guys who can spot nerves from 20 feet, talk a kid down off a ledge, and still tell the truth in a way that sends the right contestants through. If Luke bows out, the replacement has to hold that line. Encouraging without coddling, current without chasing trends. That's a tall order. The calm truth or now? If you need a definitive take today, here it is. Luke Bryan is not out. He's uncommitted. That's the careful line he and the show are walking in public, and it tracks with how these decisions get made. ABC has its renewal. Carrie looks likely. Lionel, historically, is steady. Luke is, as of early August, still deciding and has said so himself. Until there's an official confirmation, the only honest headline is the boring one. We're waiting. In the meantime, the show's engine hums. Auditions will happen. Hopefuls will drive overnight to sing in fluorescent ballrooms. And somewhere a kid who watched season 23 will try Carrie cover and shock a judge into sitting forward. Whether Luke is at that table is a question of contracts and calendars. Whether Idol can still make electricity out of a Mick and a dream. Season 23 just answered that. Season 24 will answer it again, with or without a familiar cowboy at the desk.